Oh, hello.
My name is Fraser Cain. I am the publisher of Universe Today, and this is your virtual star party for May 26th, 2013. Tonight, we have the moon. And it's the bad moon, too. It's the bright moon that's making everyone else's lives miserable tonight.
I was wondering, I did see a bad moon.
Not the good moon. The good moon is going to have that nice little slender crescent that looks really great and doesn't really, blow out everyone else's telescope. So, joining us tonight, we've got Andrew Dumbleton, who is joining us from England and is attempting to operate his remote telescope. What's going on, Andrew?
Morning, Fraser. Yes, we've got roofs delayed opening today because of local weather, but I'll keep an eye on it. And you can't just
go over there and just push on them?
Yeah, just a few thousand miles. Why not?
David Dickinson, who's in Florida, giving us this beautiful view of the moon.
It's a rare dewless night here too. There's actually no dew, so
yeah, it doesn't look
rare.
It doesn't look very murky. It looks like a really clear view tonight.
Yeah, the moon's about 20 degrees above the horizon here right now, so it's getting better.
That's going to keep coming up there. What's that crater there?
That is my Phases of the Moon app here says that it is Lagrangius.
Yeah.
Lagranus.
Faces of the Moon app. Tell me more.
I don't have an app on me.
No underhand pitches, guys. Come on.
All right. We actually just pushed an update. I think today maybe, or maybe tomorrow we're gonna have a new update with a whole bunch of new features. High resolution images now, so it's gonna be a lot nicer.
Super high def.
Super high def.
Ultra high def. Yeah.
Actually, my favorite feature is the fact that you can set it as a live wallpaper.
Yeah.
That's just cool.
Yeah,
because it's on your lock screen and everything.
So we got Gary Ganella in Los Angeles. Hey, Gary.
Hi, everybody.
We've got some guy we haven't seen in a long time, but we really missed him, Michael Phillips.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be under clear skies, actually.
And yeah, I know. Well, it's been week after week of you having really awful skies. And and if people recall, Mike is the person who brought us Saturn in that first video, that Google video that they did. So. If you just imagine that Saturn slowly panning down.
Can you bring it a little bit down, Mike?
A little bit down.
A little bit down.
But now he's going to change cameras. But
yeah, we're going to go to the color one, so
yes.
I won't change it back.
And then, just down the road from Mike Phillips, we've got Mitchell Duke, who we also haven't seen in a little while. Hey, Mitchell.
Hey, guys.
And the view of Saturn is terrific. Look at that. Look at that Saturn.
See the Cassini division. It looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just wonderful. I wonder if you can maximize this window. Can you maximize this window and get rid of all the other controls?
Yeah, let me play around with it.
Yeah, you can just maximize the Saturn window. But anyway, we'll keep moving. We got Roy Salisbury, who is actually on location at his observatory, as opposed to controlling it remotely. And so, but then we don't get to see your face. You have no camera where you are. So you're just a talking galaxy.
Yes, I'm a talking galaxy with a disembodied telescope.
But at least now, if the focus is a little off or it's not performing, you can just actually go over and give it a bang. So
yes, and that's why I'm here. I'm doing adjustments to the optics.
Perfect. Nice. My co-host Scott Lewis.
How's it going, everyone?
And Dr. Thad Zabo.
Good evening.
All right, so let's start with this beautiful view of the moon. So, and I think the thing that just pops right out with this view is that crazy, the crater, and then that peak right in the middle, and you can see the shadow of that peak against that back crater wall.
If you were at that peak right there, you'd be watching a crescent Earth rise right there along the terminator. So you'd see the Earth in the opposite phase. The moon is waning gibbous right now. It just passed full.
So what's the terminator?
It's a shadow area right there where the sun's just starting to rise right along the edge.
The Terminator is the line between sunrise and sunset on the moon.
And
on one side you see the sun, on the other side you don't.
Come with me if you want to live.
Get in the space chopper.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's great. So how much of the month would you be able to see this, this peak illuminated in this way?
Roughly half. I mean, this crater, this is Langrenus. It shows up shortly after waxing crescent. I mean, this becomes visible very early in the lunar cycle, and now that you can see that it's on the terminator, meaning that this is probably the last night that it will, in this 29.5-day cycle for lunar phases, this is probably be the last night that it actually has light falling on it and will be visible until next lunar cycle starts.
Yeah.
So,
But, yeah, pretty much next week that the accursed moon will be gone.
yes.
Sunrise to sunset's roughly 2 weeks.
Yeah. So just to let people know, you can actually make comments, questions, feedback. You can make requests. We'll do what we can to bring up your favorite objects tonight. So there's a few ways to do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can make a comment there. If you're watching this somewhere out on the internets, you can use the hashtag Star Party on Twitter.
Yes.
If you're watching this on Google Plus on the event page, you can make a comment there. And if you're watching this just from my stream, you can make a comment there, and hopefully we'll pick up the comment. If you think we're not seeing your comments, the safest place is to comment on YouTube. We'll absolutely see them there. So,
but we do have it set up right now that should be tracking all the comments everywhere except for Facebook. But
Oh, really? Have you embedded it on Facebook?
I have it on Facebook.
Yeah.
On our new virtual Star Party page.
Right. So if you're watching this on Facebook,
it's linking to your YouTube because
if you're watching this on Facebook, click on the link and make comments on YouTube. And so if you have any questions about the gear that we're using, about the technique, about the people, their setups, or just
that lovely beard that Fraser's rocking right now, any questions about
like
that?
this? Like this?
Yeah.
I think it's hockey playoff time. That's
Is
what I
it?
think.
No. I just sometimes have a beard.
No, Fraser's a curling man. He's not
It's curling. It's a Canadian thing. Yeah.
Sweep!
Long bocce of the North.
All right, I got to spend some time now with the Michael and Mitchell's Saturns here. So you did change to color?
I did change the color, yes, and I think it's a fairly accurate representation in most of the processed images that I come out with. It's got this kind of yellowish hue to it.
And for those of us who haven't seen the Google video, what is the telescope that you're using?
So this is my home-built 14-inch Newtonian. It's a native focal ratio of f4.5, and I use a PowerMate to magnify it 5x times, so it's around I don't know, 29 or something like that. And I'm using a color camera from the image source right now to just display a live view straight through into the Hangout.
Right. And I think, again, we mentioned this video, the Google video. If you do a search for Virtual Star Party on YouTube, you should find it, and you can actually see some video of Mike wheeling this gigantic telescope around, and it's big.
It's a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. Home built.
Have wheels, will travel. And if you notice, there's a bit of an incline to my driveway here. And the guy that helped build the tube for me, he's very astounded that I wheel this thing up and down the driveway.
Is it uphill both ways, or how does that work for you?
Yes.
How high is Saturn for you right now, Mike?
I don't have an exact, but I think it peaks around 40 or just less than 40 degrees above the horizon. So not great, and I think it gets worse year over year from here.
So is it at the sort of maximum height right now?
It's about an hour past. Maybe.
Okay.
So I think this, it only gets worse from here. Let's say. So
We're in a cycle of oppositions for the next decade, where it's going to be getting to the more southern part of the ecliptic.
All right.
I'm switching to Mitchell's view now.
Gotta move
So Mitchell, what's your
something
telescope setup? I don't know if you can hear us. Is he muted?
I know what he has if he
Okay.
doesn't answer.
Yeah.
He's got a Celestron 14-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, and he just picked up a new camera that I think he's been playing around with, having some pretty good success with. It's
Hey, I'm here, guys.
There you are. Go ahead.
Okay.
You talk.
Guess I was muted. I'm using a Celestron 14-inch and an ASI 120mm camera. No,
Yeah,
not
it
millimeter.
looks great.
Monochrome.
I mean, weren't you guys thinking that you were seeing the hexagon,
Yeah.
or was that just me being crazy?
Good seeing, maybe, but right now it's kind of blurry.
You get hints of it every once in a while when it settles down. I mean, there's definitely
Yeah.
a darker region around the North Pole there.
Yeah, I don't know if
So-
people watching this can see this.
But I think the tricky part is there's a contrast in color and shading between that area and the surrounding bands, and so you can see it's really the polar cap. So it's that dark spot right at the bottom of Mitchell, and more Mitchell's image than mine. And I think the trick is to actually see the sort of angled corners to it, which it's really difficult to see on the live display, but it does pop out when you hit it with some post-processing sharpening tools, let's say. Magic.
See, I don't know whether I like it in black and white or I like it in color better. Like the color, you really get those colors, that yes. really nice yellow.
Can you get both that you see at the same time?
Yeah, I'm just going back and forth. Click.
Yeah,
click.
I think the real trick for me is, and this is why I went monochrome, is that the monochrome images tend to have higher frame rates, which frees the seeing a lot more, and so it looks like a sharper view. And using lower frame rates, you're subject to a little bit more of the atmosphere's mercy, which is not so great right now.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of questions already. So Chet 1138 asks, what mount do you use with your Newtonian, Michael?
I went brave, and that's a good question, because I went with the Celestron CGE, which, if you ask, Celestron is rated at 65 pounds. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to build a telescope for 65 pounds. And I went right up to the maximum. And I will tell you, I've had some pretty good success with it, not just for planetary, but I've got an off-axis guider that I've been playing around with for the last year or so, and getting some pretty good results for deep sky stuff, too. So it's a pretty good mount. I don't know if they sell it anymore. I think they've been trying to push people to the Pro model, which is tremendously more cost. Yeah. But it's been working pretty good.
Right, and I mean, it's holding really steady.
Yeah.
Steady as a rock.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I actually had some computer woes, which meant that every time I had a computer woe, I had to realign it. So hastily, it's been holding up pretty well so far.
And so we've got a question here from Stephen Birch. What is magnification is this view of Saturn? You guys pretty much have the same focal ratio, so...
Yeah, it's pretty close. I'd say we're at around 10,000 millimeters.
So what is the... yeah, and so what would you say the magnification is of this? I know astronomers don't tend to talk that way, right?
Yeah, I mean,
if you're embiggeness.
What would you think this is?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been trying to do more visual work because why not, right? And I think it's around 300 or 400x. Just roughly taking a stab at it. I mean,
yeah, that would sound right. I mean, computing it, if you have an eyepiece in and you're doing it visually, is much easier. You take the focal length of your telescope and divide by the focal length of the eyepiece. I actually need to do a bit of a refresher on how to do it with a camera in there.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's not quite as straightforward. But just from what I've seen from other views of Saturn, probably around that 400 magnification range seems about right.
Yeah.
And you really need a lot of aperture to get a good bright view of Saturn at that kind of magnification. We kind of forget, we look at Jupiter. Well, Jupiter is twice as close to the Sun as Saturn is, meaning Saturn gets 4 times less light than Jupiter. So you really have to, increase your exposure compared to when you're shooting Jupiter, and that leaves you more vulnerable to atmospheric effects. So yeah, having a 14-inch scope like Mike or Mitchell have here is really, I won't say necessary, but it definitely kind of optimizes things for trying to get a good bright image of Saturn. So we're trying to bring up Titan or some of the moons now, Mike? Is that...
There's one.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I figured we were talking about brightness, and I know this one here. I don't know if that's Tethys or... I don't have my ephemeris up there, and I think Titan's off to the side, if I remember seeing it in the eyepiece.
So if people are kind of confused what's happened here, so the moons of Saturn are really faint, and so in order to see the moons, you have to really increase the brightness, and what that does is that blows out Saturn, but then you can see these little faint objects, which are the moons. We have one other question here. Ngrip wants to know, can Neptune or Uranus be seen at this time of year with the gear in use on the VSP? And actually, we did have Neptune and Uranus and Pluto roughly this time of year last year, didn't we?
trying to remember. I thought it was warmer than it is now, although it's been an unseasonably cold spring here.
It wouldn't be now. I mean, Neptune is in Neptune is in Aquarius or Capricorn. Uranus is in Pisces. So if Andrew might be able to get a shot at them if he's got dark enough skies, because they'd be morning objects at this point. So Andrew being in the UK, it's near sunrise for him. So. But for anybody in the U.S., you'd be waiting until, shortly. Well, let me think. For Neptune, till probably about 2 to 3 a.m. and Uranus, not very long before sunrise, before you'd have it high enough in the sky to be able to see.
Yeah.
Pluto would be difficult right now because the moon's going to occult it later today, so the moon is very close to it.
Really?
Wow.
But you won't see an occultation like that because Pluto is way too faint.
Right, but we would see Pluto, and then probably a couple of months from now, and then
it's in Sagittarius right now. So it's in the if you're looking in the direction of the moon that I'm aimed at right now, you're in the rough direction of Pluto.
Yeah,
and New Horizons is in that same direction too.
That's great.
But if we're talking brightness differences here, I mean, the full moon is around magnitude -12. Pluto's around magnitude 14. That's 26 magnitudes difference. So that's roughly 100 to the... Is that 100 to the 5th power? Yeah, that's 100 to the 5th power difference in brightness. That's 10 billion times difference in brightness between the moon and Pluto. So yeah, if you have the moon in there, there is no camera sensitive enough anywhere to pick up Pluto.
I managed 2 nights ago to film an occultation of Beta Scorpii, which is 3rd magnitude. And it was very difficult on the limb of the full moon. It was nearly impossible to see. And that was at 3rd magnitude.
Yeah, that's a naked eye star. That's an easy naked eye star. So.
But when it pops out the dark side, would you be able to see? I mean, I have 3rd magnitude. You'd be able to see a lot easier, right? But I mean, could you see something down to 10th or 14th magnitude?
To my knowledge, I've never heard of anyone catch. There's a series of occultations of Pluto this year. Almost every lunation it occults it. But to my knowledge, I've never heard of anyone catching one. That'd be very difficult.
I would think you'd have to be in the right place at the right time, right? Because you can't see the dark side of the moon, and you don't know where Pluto is, so...
It'd be better to get it when it's a crescent or first quarter or something like that.
Now, did you pull up a satellite there?
Definitely.
I think it might be. If somebody can pull it up,
Larry will tell you.
Yeah, there's one here, and mine is inverted from Mitchell's. I didn't rotate my camera the right way. And
are you doing the same thing, Mitchell? Let me see what Mitchell's view is.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
And here's the real problem with trying to catch these occultations of Pluto at this point. It would be the darker, unlit edge of the moon that would be covering it first, and then it would be re-emerging on the bright edge. You would have to know exactly where you're aiming to get to see the disappearance there. So, yeah, very tricky. Maybe something for October or possibly November.
Yeah.
When the crescent moon would be thin enough that it wouldn't blow out your camera while trying to get the dark limb of the moon covering Pluto.
Oh, there you go, Mitchell. Yeah, we're seeing it there.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Now, I wanted to take a quick break here since Michael is here, and we've been going through all the images from our photo contest. And one of the main things, we have this huge banner now on Google Plus that we are trying to find a good use of that real estate. And one of Michael's submissions, I think, is going to be perfect for it. And so instead of emailing you and asking you,
you can ask me here, sure.
So here is one of your just composite of many of your different images that you've done through the Venus transit, and we have the Moon and Jupiter and Saturn. So we would like to use this for our banner. Is that okay with you?
I'm giving you a big thumbs up right now, and if you want the one without all the labels on it, I can give you that one too.
Great.
So
awesome. We'll get this set up. But yeah, just all the images you have in here, all the objects. I think it'd be a perfect way to showcase all the.
And I think it's important for people to see this, right? These are the images that Michael has taken, and I'm I'm looking through the objects, and we've seen them all.
I think, I do try to. It might not be the ones that were on the virtual star party, but to me, when I do these, and I was actually inspired by Mike Solway. I don't know if he watches the star parties or not, but he did this at the end of the year, and I'm like, that's actually really cool. Kind of, set yourself a yearly goal, and it becomes like a New Year's resolution to go, I'm going to get all these objects in this year, and they're going to be better than last year. And just something fun to assemble at the end of the year to say.
That's really cool. So I'm going to move over just to the all-sky view that Andrew's got, which is really neat. I really like this.
Yeah, it's about all I have at the moment.
Look at those closed telescope domes.
Let me flick between one which was earlier. So if I go to the previous all sky, you can see the moon is down at this point. So there's a bank of cloud over this area. Unfortunately, this half of the sky was absolutely clear. So Leo, I could have shot galaxies in Leo around Ursa Major, but this half of the sky is bad. And if I move to the next all sky that came, the moon you can see is just coming up. This bank of cloud is still here, and there's some more cloud around this horizon starting to appear. So seems to be getting worse, I'm afraid.
And the whole can't get the telescope up. Yeah. So I'm getting an echo from you, Andrew, just to let you know. I'm going to have to mute you.
Okay, I'll go to mute.
All right, well, I'm going to move to Gary's view because I know he's... Oh.
I'm still getting an echo.
Yeah. There, okay. All right, well, I'm going to go to Gary's view because I know he's been waiting patiently with this beautiful view of M51 and even put the name on it.
Yep, no problem. I'm actually enjoying this one. I don't have to rush as much.
I know, normally the pressure's on. Gary, come on, more.
Oh, no, you still have to do them. I still need those images later. So keep going, Gary.
Yeah. Gary, I'll take a bullet for you any day, man. You're all right.
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
I've been, wanting to see Saturn all season. I'm like, come on. I've been pushing poor David to get these low images of Saturn, and now, boom, here we are. It's great.
We really needed some southern hemisphere people to come on board, though, because Saturn's going to be, quite high in the sky for them. So
yeah, that's great. Nice M51, and you're battling the moon. So
actually, not right at the moment. It hasn't come up for me yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's hanging right just below the horizon.
So it'll be there just shortly.
Yeah, I'm actually battling fairly not nice skies. I've got a little bit of haze. The seeing's not great.
Yeah, it's kind of crummy,
But that's my 51, and there's the full frame.
And I'm going to move to Roy Salisbury. Oh, that's nice. So that's M81.
M81.
And so, Roy, I know people like to know what's your setup. What telescope are you using?
Tonight, this is with a 10-inch RC, which is about 2,000 millimeter focal length.
That's great. And so remember what Michael was saying, that he's running a 10,000 millimeter focal length. So
yeah, it's.
Yeah, so we need a much wider field of view for galaxies, especially M81 because it is so nearby. Only 12 million light years. So.
And it's is it an analog of what the Milky Way looks like?
Not really.
No?
Yeah, the nucleus is a little bit too spherical for the Milky Way. That it's a barred nucleus. Actually, I guess for line cork here. That's not. I mean, imagine this a little bit longer, right? That would be kind of the bar for the nucleus for the Milky Way, as opposed to a ball, like for M81 here. But I mean, yeah, the Milky Way would be a spiral, not quite as much this grand design though as we see with M81, where you kind of have the disk, and then you can just see the spiral arms coming off of each edge here. Instead, for the Milky Way, it's a bar, and then you have some spiral arms coming off the edge, and then there's some extra spurs and other little portions of arms that kind of fill in the regions in between. Not nearly as nice and symmetric as M81 looks here.
Funny Dragon 11 asks, "Is this live? How does this work?" Yes, this is live. And how this works is you watch as we bring different objects up. So these are all live telescopes. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 live views of the night sky. And so we can ask these astronomers to move their telescopes around to different objects. We have 2 views of Saturn right now, 1 view of the moon, an all-sky view, and some deep sky objects. So that's it.
So I've got about 6 of them queued up whenever you're ready.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then I want to go back to David's view because he's got a great view of the moon first, and then you can feel free to put up another image. Right. I can see Gary already has too. He's already moving ahead too.
I moved over to the Mare Crisium there, right on the Terminator as well. It just, you can see kind of what my field of view is, but this is kind of fixed, and it just fills it up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this feature, it's a plane that filled with lava about 3.5 billion years ago, back when the moon still had active volcanic flows, and hasn't been hit too often. This is the side that's facing Earth, so the Earth kind of acts as a little bit of a shield for meteorite impacts. So we see that this lava plain is still largely intact. There's some good-sized craters in there, but it's not nearly as roughed up as, say, what the far side of the moon looks like. So it's feature on the far eastern limb of the moon. Eastern, if you're looking at it as a globe, actually on the sky from here, it's the western. It'd be the western edge. But if you're looking at the moon as a globe, it's the eastern edge. And at waxing crescent, when the moon's only about 2 or 3 days old, you get this nice spill of light into it, kind of the opposite effect of what we're getting now, where it's shadow kind of spilling in, the same way that the light would spill in when it's a very young crescent moon.
It always amazes me we never saw that far side until the space age.
Yeah. And it's surprising how different it looks.
Yeah.
From the near side. I mean, you would expect the far side would just look the same as the near side, but actually it looks
you've
quite
probably
different.
you've probably seen those first Luna 2 images that the Russians took, and they're really terrible images. But you can barely make out any detail on them, but it's still amazing that they managed to do it.
So Miles Beardsmore, I like the name, says they saw Saturn in the southern hemisphere a day ago and it was great. So, yeah,
this is much higher up for them. I mean, right now it's kind of slipping from Virgo into Libra, which puts it pretty far to the south for northern hemisphere observers from the same latitudes as the U.S. But if you're in, say, South Africa or Peru or Argentina, Chile, it's going to be very high up in the sky. From Peru, it would be nearly overhead. From Peru, it should pass basically through the zenith. So if there's anybody out there and you've got a scope from Peru and you can get it into a hangout, you can give us kind of the optimal view of Saturn through the least amount of atmosphere.
I'm going to have to use some company funds, Fraser, and go to Peru.
Go to Peru, yeah.
Virtual star party from Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be tough.
For science.
Yeah, it would.
I'm going to move to Roy's view again. Whoa.
That is M13, a globular cluster.
Nicely said.
Very good.
Yes.
I am going to infect you all, aren't I? Has anyone caught themselves saying it my way? Which
my students started going back and forth in class because I've had them, watching virtual star parties for extra credit, and so they would end up going back and forth between globular and globular.
Now Michael has dug up a pronunciation guide and proven that it can be both ways.
Yes. You can thank my kids for that one, actually. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, 2 ways, the right way or the wrong way, right?
Nice. They don't tell you which one is which, though. You're going to battle out on your own, see?
Now, Roy, did you crop this image of M13 at all, or is this
no,
that's your full field of view?
Yep, it's full field of view.
And it is such a large globular cluster, and it's relatively nearby. If I remember the distance correctly, it's something around. It's right around 13,000 to 15,000 light years, if I remember correctly.
That is very nice, Roy.
So nice and sharp, and we're looking at between 500,000 and 1 million stars when we're looking at a globular of this size.
Just pick one. Pick one. Either one's valid.
But and again, one of the oldest objects that's visible to the naked eye. They tend to be left over from the early stages of the formation of the galaxy. In fact, they may have been another galaxy that had interacted with the Milky Way, and so it could be the core of a nascent galaxy that's kind of left floating around. That was massive enough to hold together this way. And retain an identity out in the halo around our galaxy. So if you look at our galaxy like a plane, you have these globular clusters that are kind of scattered around the center. And yeah, so that not all the stars ended up getting stripped out of it to become part of the galaxy, that it has enough mass to kind of retain its own identity 13 billion years later.
I'm going to move to Gary's view now.
Okay.
This is it. This is your favorite, Dad.
Yep, the owl and the pussycat.
So all right, so yeah, M97 for the Owl Nebula and M108. We'll go with the Pussycat Galaxy for it. So here in Ursa Major, so this is going to be really high overhead for those of us out here in LA. This is getting as close to the zenith as it would get at about this time of night. So very nicely placed, and especially with the moon not quite up here yet. I mean, I'd be able to see it out the window here from where I'm broadcasting. Don't see it up yet, so no interference with our planetary nebula in the upper left corner or our spiral galaxy down in the lower right.
That's great.
And I can also zoom a little bit on the nebula.
Now, what do they think is forming these eyeballs in the nebula?
With any planetary nebula, you're looking at what happens when a star like our sun dies, and so it's never quite as neat and as clean a process as it just kind of puffs out its outer layers and fades away. It can be done in stages, so you could get one set of gas and dust kind of going out first, and then as it starts to die, there could be a greater pressure on the next layer, and so as that rushes out, it catches up with the stuff that's already out there. So this is how you get features like the Stingray Nebula or the Cat's Eye Nebula. In this case, it's given us these kind of two somewhat hollower structures inside the planetary, which look like a pair of owl's eyeballs kind of staring back at us from space.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to go back and see. Michael is going after moons again.
Yes, I am.
So I'm going to move back to this view of Saturn, which we've got it currently very overly bright, but then you can see with Mitchell's view, it's sort of properly bright.
I think I spot at least 3. There's one here. There's another one over there. And there's another one off to the other side.
Yeah, that we saw before.
Here. There it is.
Let me see if I can bring up Skyview Cafe and get some identifications on these. I know there's other programs. I mean, Stellarium I found tends to have a bit of a lag. I don't know if they've updated that, but I don't think it accounts for the finite speed of light that it takes for
there you go.
for
Wow.
images
Might be
to
another one
travel.
right here, too.
Oh, let's see here. Hold on.
Well,
Come back to your
Saturn's
view.
got enough things orbiting it, that's for sure.
Right. And then they'll change a little over how far in light hours is Saturn? That's
Just
a
over a
million-dollar
light
question.
hour. Yeah,
Just
with
one.
Saturn,
Okay.
at opposition, Saturn is 72 light minutes away. We're just past opposition, so what you're seeing is as Saturn as it appeared about 75 minutes ago.
Centurion Logan says, "Oh my God, so much knowledge! I love it." And that reminds me of a comment that we at one point had, where someone had said, like, "This is the nerdiest thing I have ever seen."
Yes.
And I love it. So
Yes.
yeah, it is absolutely the nerdiest thing you will ever see. Helen Reed asks patiently every week for the backwards 5 asterism in Hercules. And she's even provided the RA and declaration. So what's it going to take?
Guys.
Should I just put this into the chat here? Or take a crack at it?
What's the size of it?
I'm sure it's gigantic, and we'll
Yes.
blow out your. But try. Just move to this and see what you get. Although that's not enough precision, I think. 16 hours, 36 minutes, 0 seconds.
There, 36.0. That's pretty close.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can you guys give it a try and see what we get?
I'm all right now.
Big enough field of view.
Yeah.
So real quick, I did want to put up some more of our
Oh yeah, okay.
of our images. This one is by our good friend Mike Rector, and what I'll be doing as well is making a bunch of wallpapers, a bunch of desktop wallpapers for your PC, your Mac. Also, I'm be trying to put some together for Android and iOS. But this one is of Pleiades.
Oh, very
And
nice.
Nice.
Phenomenal.
Nice job, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike did a great job.
Like you see the nebulosity
Yeah,
there.
and that's not easy to pull out. So he did a good job.
Really good job. So I'll be processing these through with a little bit of a VSP logo and his copyright that it's his image on there. And we'll be sharing it up there on Google Plus, on Twitter, on our Facebook.
Nice.
And if we can commandeer our website from Roy, we'll get
Right. Roy is still squatting, right? Well, and speaking of Roy,
Oh, nice.
what's your image, Roy?
This is what is this one?
Is this Black Eye?
M64.
M64
That's the Black Eye.
64, isn't it? That's the Black Eye
Yes.
Galaxy.
Yeah, 64.
Gorgeous, Roy.
That's nice.
BTL 743, our super fan, wants to know if anyone has seen the conjunction tonight.
I was just photographing it.
Did you? You saw it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Did you go to your laundry room?
Actually, I can see it from the backyard now. I don't. It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
got enough elevation. Earlier this week, I had to go up to the second story to see it up over the houses. So.
I'm going to be going to the West Coast on Friday, and so I won't be able to see the conjunction, but hopefully I'll be able to see something. What will I be able to see on Friday, David?
It's still going to be visible. They're going to change orientation. Jupiter's kind of sliding down behind the sun.
Okay.
Mercury's coming up. So, but they're still going to be visible all week. They're just going to be. They're not going to be in that triangle shape anymore.
I will admit I have never seen Mercury with my own eyes.
You're saying that this is the week to see it.
I
It's
know.
it's a nice treat.
Well, because the thing is like I have a mountain range on my western side,
That'll
so it is always a mountain. So, and I don't wake up early enough to see it in the morning.
This is the best. This particular elongation is the best one for the northern hemisphere for 2013. It's because it's going to be right perpendicular to the horizon.
So I will try to see it on Friday night.
Yeah.
And we said and they're the closest grouping till 2021, right?
That's what they're saying. I never had a chance to really check that out, but
what
that
did they
sounds
know?
right. That
Them.
sounds right. It could be.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance to view it from closer to the equator, I mean, it can be especially almost disconcerting if you know anything, if you not know anything, but if you're familiar with where Mercury typically appears in the sky. Because 2 years ago, I was in Botswana, which is at about 20 degrees south latitude, and Mercury was hanging around for about 2 hours after sunset. It's like, this planet never does this. What's going on? Oh, because I'm, much closer to the equator and
You're
to the south of it.
the planet.
Right.
Yeah, and so the way the ecliptic was coming into the horizon at that time, Mercury hung around until at least 2 hours after sunset. So
nice and so it got nice and dark, and you could really see it.
yeah, I have a shot of it right adjacent to the Beehive cluster M44 that I took with my brother's Canon TI1.
Oh, neat.
So yeah,
I'm going to move to Gary's view. Is this the backwards 5, Gary?
This is the backward 5. I'm trying to figure out where it's a 5.
Well, I think
I
that's...
see it.
I see
Kind
it.
of upside down.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
There's a big loopy thing of stars there too.
Yeah, that's
so-
it. That's for sure it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put it back the way it was here. Yeah, that's the way I took it.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah.
rotate it counterclockwise one time, 90 degrees.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see it.
Oh, I see it. No, wait. No, the other way.
Yeah,
Go
clock
180 degrees.
180. Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Oh.
Oh, back.
No, I've lost it. See it.
Go 90 degrees.
The hook to the left side there. I mean, that's near the center. That's like the belly of the 5. When you're taught how to draw a 5 when you're a kid, they say there's the belly, and you put the little hat on it, right? So the belly is pointing upward in the shot here, and it's just to the left of center.
So the lesson that we've learned here is that if you bring the right ascension declination, you stand a really good chance of us bringing it up.
Do your homework, kids, and
Yeah.
we'll try to get it up for you.
Yeah.
And I know Helen has been trying to get this.
I know.
for
I'm so
we
glad
love
we were
you,
able to
Helen.
provide it
Thank
for
you.
her. There
Especially
you are,
with-
Helen.
With the setup these guys have here, like Gary and David and Roy, with the automation that they have to run their scopes, it is essentially putting in a pair of coordinates on the sky. So it's like if you go to Google Maps or something, and you were to put in, here's my longitude and latitude that I want to get to or get a view of, it brings it up. They can do that with putting in a pair of coordinates, right ascension and declination to the telescope, and the telescope will then point at whatever pair of coordinates you give it. So yeah, it's quite a handy setup to have there. So
we've got a request for NGC 1569.
Very early morning at this point. Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, where that's going to be. Yeah, that's
that's
not
the
not
dwarf
well
irregular galaxy in Camelopardalis.
Not a good time of year for it.
Yeah.
Come with NGCs in the 4,000s to 6,000s right about now. Then we can do those very well. Like, for instance...
Oh, is that like your quick way of knowing whether it's visible or not?
Yeah, I mean, they start the NGC numbering at 0 hours right ascension, which is like Pisces. That's where the vernal equinox is. And so since we're just past vernal equinox now, that means vernal equinox will be up very early in the morning. So, like, for instance... the Orion Nebula is 1976, NGC 1976. So anything that's in that region of the sky, I mean, that's about where the sun is right now. Not a good time for trying to see it. As opposed to, it looks like Roy right now has 4565.
Yeah, I just put up Roy's view here of NGC 4565.
Right.
Is that the needle, right?
That's cool.
So yeah, so this is almost overhead for us at this time of year, maybe a little bit past the zenith. So if you're going to bring up NGC numbers, if you're coming during the summer, late 4,000s through 7,000s are good. If you're coming during the winter, right around 0 through about 2,000 is good. So.
That's handy. I didn't know that. I thought they were completely random, like the Messier numbers.
No, there's actually some systematics to NGC versus good old Charles there hunting comments like, oh, the Pleiades, yeah, okay, that's not a comet, that's 45.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
yeah. So it was more like just as he found them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it even seems kind of whimsical. I mean, if you think about M1, which is the Crab Nebula is in Taurus, that's not that far from the Pleiades, which is M45. So it'd be an interesting bit of astronomical history trying to determine Messier's rhyme or reason for his numbering.
An interesting thought, in that age, didn't they just set the telescope at one elevation and let it scan through the night and then move it the next night?
A lot of times they looked right along the meridian, like they just had transit instruments. So yeah, they would just view on the meridian and let things drift through.
Right, and then they move it up a degree or two, and the next night look at another swatch.
Elliot K wants to know if we can see the Sombrero Galaxy. I believe we can.
Yes, I have that.
Oh, do you have it?
Here for it?
Okay.
I have that. Let me pull it up here.
Give it another 6 weeks and we probably won't be able to anymore, but now it's a good time of year for it.
And while we're waiting for that, David, you've got a region of the moon here.
Yeah.
Is this the Apollo 11 landing site?
Yes, it is. This is a Sea of Tranquility. I always know from right about up in the upper right side, there's those Sabine, the two pair of craters right there.
Right, and there's that really bright crater in the same region.
Yeah, so the landing site is roughly just above and to the right of center.
And you know what's interesting? So Theyll Bristra spotted it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So he's watching us. Theyll often brings us the sun, which is so awesome that we can have both the sun and the moon and planets all at the same time. Speaking of the sun, have you seen the stuff that Mr. Schmitz has been doing this week?
Corey?
Yeah, he's been doing some amazing views of the sun, doing them live on Google+.
I did one with him, was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already, add Corey Schmitz on your Google Pluses and take a look at some of the live sun views he's been doing. Just beautiful.
Yeah, Corey's good people, and he's got a new telescope, so he's always playing with it. But speaking of the sun, I do want to pull up another one because you guys have given me so many images to go through. I can't pick one and I'm not going to. I'm going to be picking a whole lot of them, and it'll be highlighting a lot of them. But this one here, I just can't help.
And I went to I went to Roy's view of the Sombrero Galaxy. So So as requested, Elliot, Roy was able to target the Sombrero Galaxy for you. So, no, it's not a ridiculous question. It is the right time of year. This is the trick. So the kinds of galaxies that we can actually see, or the objects, just all depends on what's up in the night sky right now. So right now we're seeing Saturn, and that's why we've got multiple views of Saturn. The moon is up right now. It'll be gone in a couple of days. And these are the galaxies that we're able to see right now. But we can't see, say, Andromeda right now, and we can't see some of the sort of later summer stuff. So it's just, and the Orion Nebula is gone. But we're about to see the Eagle Nebula. So it just depends on what's up in the sky. So thank you very much for asking.
Here is one of the submissions.
All right, so I'm showing the sun view. Wow. Oh, it's Paul Stewart.
Of course, you know.
Yeah, he is a ridiculously good solar observer.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see so much activity.
You can check out his website. He's the Upside Down Astronomer.
Upside Down Astronomer.
Yeah, and he's out of New Zealand.
New Zealand. And I have one more image of the sun too, because you can't help but love this image coming through. If I can pull it up.
Better hurry, because now we're just looking at you.
Just looking at, I'm pretty. And so we actually see the sun and
the International Space Station.
That's cool.
Whose picture is this?
This is Russell. I cannot pronounce his last name.
No.
Russ starts with a V. I will slaughter your name, and I'm sorry, Russ. Vallelunga.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, he'd been trying to do some really Vallelunga, yeah. He's done some amazing of these kind of timing shots. He had one from earlier this month where he caught the moon at about 1% illumination.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly tough to do. Just 26 hours old. He was able to use Venus as a guide, and it's like less than a fingernail of a crescent moon.
Right.
The absolute master of this is a guy named Thierry Legault. He's out of Paris, and his images are just crazy. Oh, Michael says that trees kill this Saturn.
Yes. So here, this is one I'll post in the photos later when I get back inside. This is
is this stacked at all, or is this just raw?
This is a stack and a basic sharpen.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's pretty.
Not my best, but it looks pretty good.
Quick and dirty.
Right.
It's good enough for us.
Yes, exactly.
Gary, what have you got here?
M63, but my seeing's not real great. You can start to see some of the spiral arms in the galaxy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, M63 is the sunflower galaxy, and I mean, we talk about how tightly spirals wind, and this is one of those things. It's like, well, if you ask about Saturn, how many rings does Saturn have? Well, if you look roughly from a shot, you might say, well, there's the A and B rings that are separated by Cassini's division. Oh, but wait, there's the C ring in front of Saturn. Oh, wait, we have pictures from Voyager and from Cassini that show it has thousands of rings. How many arms does the sunflower galaxy have? Okay, well, I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 that kind of stand out, but as you look closer, you see all of this modeling and modeling, M-O-T-T-L-I-N-G, where you just got all these little knots of gas that are condensing, these really incredible star-forming regions, and it really looks like kind of the interior of a sunflower on longer exposures. Right. So,
because I'm shooting with hydrogen alpha, we're seeing the light of hydrogen too.
So Tom Nath has asked for the Stargate cluster, and he's provided the
Stargate cluster.
The Stargate cluster. He's provided it here. So it's 12 hours, 35 minutes, 59 seconds, declination minus 1203. So.
Is that going to bring any aliens?
Let's hope not.
I'll go try to activate that.
All right.
Awesome. All right.
That's really near the sombrero.
That's pretty close, yeah.
So is the sombrero just a giant Stargate that we should be worried about?
So I've moved to Roy's view. Now Roy and Gary are just hitting us with these deep sky objects. This is great.
So this is M101 from Roy.
Yes.
Pinwheel Galaxy in Ursa Major, just off of the handle, kind of forms a triangle with the end of the handle is either Alkaid or Bennett Nash, 2 names for that star. The middle of the handle is Mizar, and then this kind of forms almost a right triangle with those 2 stars. So brilliant, gorgeous, giant spiral galaxy, about 18 million light years off, and very face on. I mean, we can see like the sombrero is edge on. This is very much face on.
Right.
Now, it looks like it's had one of its spiral arms just kind of yanked out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that would hint at maybe a collision. There's nothing nearby that we would see could have possibly done that. The other thing is the way spiral arms evolve is pretty complex. This whole theory of spiral density waves, where some materials orbiting kind of catches up with some others, and it's like a traffic jam. And here in LA, of course, it's a great analogy, where you may just have cars that bunch up for some reason, and then as cars pass in and pass out, the cars pass through just fine, but the kind of jam stays in that part of the road as cars have to slow down to enter and leave. And that seems to be one of the large mechanisms, one of the explanations for how galaxies develop their spiral arms, is that you have places where things just tend to bunch up as they're passing through at their various speeds here. Now, of course, they will have extra mass. Extra mass means extra gravity, so that could provide a physical reason these things hang around a little bit longer as well.
Very cool. That's a beautiful image.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike, are you now playing with your image of Saturn?
Yeah, I just figured it was looking angelic floating above my head or something, right? This is the picture-in-picture in Manicam, by the way, which is what I used tonight. So.
Oh, that's great.
Oh.
And this is great. I love David's view, too. This is great, David. You can see David's telescope in the background there.
I lost the moon temporarily behind the peak of the house, so it'll be back in. I wondered why. It's like, hey, the camera's going black, so I went and cleaned off the fog from the front of the scope. It was still black, and then I looked, it's like, oh, it's because the moon went behind the roof.
That's almost the same exact problem I had. I'm like, I switched cams back to the color camera, and I'm like, where did it go? I can't find it. I'm like, oh, it's behind the tree. Oh,
Yeah. That's great.
Somebody treed my Saturn.
And Roy's got another one. Roy, you're so fast.
That would be M92.
So this is like M13's little brother, right? The constellation Hercules has a large number of galaxies. It has the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules, but there's also, which is M13 for the Great Globular Cluster. M92 is another globular cluster in Hercules. It doesn't get all the press that M13 does because it's just not quite as big or has quite as many members. But as you can see, it's still something definitely worth looking at here. One of these.
Now, is it just further away, or is it actually a lower mass cluster?
It would. I'm fairly certain it has fewer members, but again, M13 is the second biggest globular cluster in the vicinity of the Milky Way. The only bigger one is in Centaurus. That's Omega Centauri. So yes, it would have fewer members, but you're still talking a few hundreds of thousands of stars.
Yeah.
So it's just bottom end of 100,000 to 200,000 as opposed to somewhere between 500,000 and a million for M13.
Right. That's great. All right, so Gary, is that the Stargate cluster?
That is the Stargate cluster. At least that's what that is at that coordinates. I think.
So is that like it's
right
one
here.
of the symbols on the Stargate?
I think so. I think it's right there as the symbol.
You know what? I think I might have a shot of this in frame with the sombrero. Hang on a second here.
Okay.
Put this on my Flickr account.
So Stephen Birch asked if we could see the Horsehead Nebula. So that's one of the objects that we can no longer see. So we were able to see it a couple of months ago, and now it's set. So we won't see it until
That's
November?
not entirely true. That's one of our submissions I was going to share tonight too. So
you're going to share it?
I will throw that up here real quick. Here we go.
That's cheating. Come on. It's a live show.
Not cheating. This is going over our submissions from our awesome.
That's totally fine. We're relaxing our stringent requirements.
What is that double galaxy that I keep seeing there? Oh my God! Look at that.
Isn't that phenomenal?
Whose is that? That's awesome.
This is. Let me pull it back up. I have
That's
all
like
my notes.
the best one I've ever seen.
Amazing.
Better than Hubble.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah,
This
that is a nice
Stephen
interacting pair.
Coates.
Yeah.
Stephen Coates.
that's
Oh,
real
he's the man.
telescope.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Steven is the man.
I'm going to move to Roy's view. Is that the butterfly?
This is the, I don't know what you would call it. It's on my map. It's listed as the Siamese twins.
Wow.
It's NGC 4567.
I like that. That's cool.
Galaxy.
Let me.
By
let me
galaxies.
I'm
Are they
gonna-
gravitationally interacting?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
called the
zoom
Siamese
in.
twins or the butterfly galaxies.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yes, they are colliding and merging with each other.
Awesome.
So this is probably an ARP catalog object as well, then.
That I don't know.
Probably. So, I mean, M51 shows up in the ARP catalog, and that's not even as big of a train wreck as this thing here. So,
I don't see an ARP designation for it.
I learned something interesting today. We went to the Moorhead Planetarium, and apparently Caldwell, speaking of catalogs, was a part of UNC Chapel Hill, which I didn't realize. So they have a whole little wing dedicated to, history of observations at UNC Chapel Hill, and there's Caldwell all over the place.
Nice.
Quick, somebody pull a Caldwell object up.
We probably already have, haven't we?
Yeah, some of these are doubled, right?
Yeah. All right, well, I think it's time to start wrapping this up.
Good, because I'm out of objects.
Yeah.
Me too.
David's got the... Oh, no, that's not your roof. That's the moon. But, yeah.
Starting to get it a little bit. Just getting the upper limb of it. It's still
all right, so Andrew, thank you very much. Sorry about your telescope problems. Thank you very much for bringing us this cool all-sky view, actually. I really like it.
You're welcome. I've almost got a manual animated GIF as I've been.
Is that what you've been doing?
Nothing to do, but
Nice.
Well, if you upload all of these 3 images into your Google Plus photos, like make an album and upload them, you will get an animated GIF out of this.
wow, I shall try that.
Yeah. So Google will give you a present, and they will auto awesome it for you.
Auto awesome.
Yeah. David, thank you very much. Any interesting articles you're working on for us? Oh, there's the phases of the moon.
It's the moon. If you want to see the moon now.
Yeah. Well, you got to move it back and forth so people can see what the cool thing is.
Oh, to actually do the animation. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm working on an article probably tomorrow for 1998 QE2, the asteroid that's going to be passing by this week. That's going to be about 10th or 11th magnitude going through Libra on Friday, on May 31st.
Is that the one that Sandy talked about in the?
Yes, it is.
In the on the
Arecibo is going to be pinging that asteroid. This is the closest pass for this century. It's about 15 lunar distances away. So.
And people can see the way that you can they can find more David Dickinson, which is at Astro Guys, and he writes tons of articles for us on Universe Today. So you'll see more of his work. All right. Gary Ganella, thank you very much. And thank you for chasing people's personal requests. That's awesome.
I love that part. Give me more.
It's great. Yeah, I know it's great to not have to think about what it is that you're looking for. So, yeah, that's great. All right. And Michael, it was great to see you again.
I was happy to be back here.
And it was great to bring the Saturn.
Yes.
Which I think has it's like
Thank
our...
you.
Yeah, welcome back.
So over here.
Yeah, so Gary, Michael, me, so we're just missing Pamela. We're the people who are in the...
We're getting the band back together, man.
Yeah. Centurion Logan says, I just found your channel today. What is the schedule for this show? So we do this show every Sunday night when it gets dark on the West Coast. So in the summertime, that ends up being, we're pretty close to the solstice now, that ends up being around 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern Time, and then in the wintertime, it's more like 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. So
Right.
yeah, it's not so bad. Roy Salisbury, and sorry we can't see you. I know you're, but it's great that you're on location, making the magic. And boy, I mean, your images are just fantastic. It's been great to see sort of this new setup.
Yeah, I'm really liking this new telescope. I just got a few more little tweaks to do, and it should be fully operational.
Terrific. All right. Scott Lewis, where can people sort of see the results of this photo contest?
I will be still editing some of the stuff in Photoshop to get them ready at different resolutions, so I will make sure to put them up on Google+. I will also put them up temporarily on my website, on knowthecosmos.com, once I have them all compiled. I have already put the photos up as far as our banner on the Virtual Star Party Facebook and Google+ account. And as soon as more goes on, I will be swapping out some of our icons as we go along, and really filtering through a lot of these images that have been submitted by all the great people here on Google+.
All right, and Dr. Szabo, where can people take your course?
At Cerritos College in Norwalk, California, or you can follow me on Twitter at AstroThad.
Awesome.
Yep, and see if I can get some more done over the summer here. See if I can get some articles out and whatnot. So
that'll be great. All right. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you very much, all the astronomers and everyone for joining us here in the Hangout. It's great. And so tomorrow, I think we're going to be recording an episode of Astronomy Cast. Planetary motion, I believe, is what we're going to be talking about. So, and then Learning Space on Wednesday, and then the Weekly Space Hangout on Friday. So it's got lots of cool space stuff coming your way. All right. Enjoy the beard.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you guys all. We'll see you guys all next week.
Bye.
It becomes visible very early in the lunar cycle, and now that you can see that it's on the terminator, meaning that this is probably the last night that it will in this 29.5-day cycle for lunar phases. This is probably be the last night that it actually has light falling on it and will be visible until next lunar cycle starts.
Yeah,
So,
but, yeah, pretty much next week that the accursed moon will be gone.
yes.
Sunrise to sunset's roughly 2 weeks.
Yeah. So just to let people know, you can actually make comments, questions, feedback. You can make requests. We'll do what we can to bring up your favorite objects tonight. So there's a few ways to do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can make a comment there. If you're watching this somewhere out on the internets, you can use the hashtag Star Party on Twitter.
Yes.
If you're watching this on Google Plus on the event page, you can make a comment there. And if you're watching this just from my stream, you can make a comment there, and hopefully we'll pick up the comment. If you think we're not seeing your comments, the safest place is to comment on YouTube. We'll absolutely see them there. So,
but we do have it set up right now that should be tracking all the comments everywhere except for Facebook. But
Oh, really? Have you embedded it on Facebook?
I have it on Facebook.
Yeah.
On our new Virtual Star Party page.
Right. So if you're watching this on Facebook,
it's linking to your YouTube because
if you're watching this on Facebook, click on the link and make comments on YouTube. And so if you have any questions about the gear that we're using, about the technique, about the people, their setups, or just
that lovely beard that Fraser's rocking right now, any questions about
like
that?
this? Like this?
Yeah.
I think it's hockey playoff time. That's
Is
what I
it?
think.
No. I just sometimes have a beard.
No, Fraser's a curling man. He's not
It's curling. It's a Canadian thing. Yeah.
Sweep.
Long bocce of the north.
All right, I got to spend some time now with the Michael and Mitchell's Saturns here. So you did change the color?
I did change the color, yes, and I think it's a fairly accurate representation in most of the processed images that I come out with. It's got this kind of yellowish hue to it.
And for those of us who haven't seen the Google video, what is the telescope that you're using?
So this is my home-built 14-inch Newtonian. It's a native focal ratio of f4.5, and I use a power mate to magnify it 5x times, so it's around I don't know, 29 or something like that. And I'm using a color camera from the image source right now to just display a live view straight through into the Hangout.
Right. And I think, again, we mentioned this video, the Google video. If you do a search for Virtual Star Party on YouTube, you should find it, and you can actually see some video of Mike wheeling this gigantic telescope around, and it's big.
It's a beast.
Yeah, yeah, home built.
Have wheels, will travel. And if you notice, there's a bit of an incline to my driveway here. And the guy that helped build the tube for me, he's very astounded that I wheel this thing up and down the driveway.
Is it up?
Hello.
My name is Fraser Cain. I am the publisher of Universe Today, and this is your Virtual Star Party for May 26, 2013. Tonight, we have the moon. And it's the bad moon, too. It's the bright moon that's making everyone else's lives miserable tonight.
I was wondering. I did see a bad moon.
Not the good moon. The good moon is going to have that nice little slender crescent that looks really great and doesn't really, blow out everyone else's telescopes. So, joining us tonight, we've got Andrew Dumbleton, who is joining us from England and is attempting to operate his remote telescope. What's going on, Andrew?
Morning, Fraser. Yes, we've got roofs delayed opening today because of local weather, but I'll keep an eye on it. And you can't just
go over there and just push on them?
Yeah, just a few thousand miles. Why not?
David Dickinson, who's in Florida, giving us this beautiful view of the moon.
It's a rare dewless night here, too. There's actually no dew, so...
Yeah, it doesn't look
very rare.
it doesn't look very murky. It looks like a really clear view tonight.
Yeah, the moon's about 20 degrees above the horizon here right now, so it's getting better.
That's going to keep coming up there. What's that crater there?
That is my Phases of the Moon app here says that it is Lagrangius.
Lagrangius. Yeah.
Lagranus.
Faces of the Moon app. Tell me more.
I don't have an app on me.
No underhand pitches, guys. Come on.
All right. We actually just pushed an update. I think today maybe, or maybe tomorrow we're gonna have a new update with a whole bunch of new features. High resolution images now, so it's gonna be a lot nicer.
Super high def.
Super high def.
Ultra high def. Yeah.
Actually, my favorite feature is the fact that you can set it as a live wallpaper.
Yeah.
'Cause that's just cool.
Yeah,
Because it's on your
neat.
lock screen and everything.
So we got Gary Ganella in Los Angeles. Hey, Gary.
Hi, buddy.
We've got some guy we haven't seen in a long time, but we really missed him, Michael Phillips.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be under clear skies, actually.
And I know. Well, it's been week after week of you having really awful skies. And and if people recall, Mike is the person who brought us Saturn in that first video, that Google video that they did. So if you just imagine that Saturn slowly panning down.
Can you bring it a little bit down, Mike?
A little bit down.
A little bit down.
But now he's going to change cameras. But
we're going to go to the color one, so
yes.
I won't change it back.
And then, just down the road from Mike Phillips, we've got Mitchell Duke, who we also haven't seen in a little while. Hey, Mitchell.
Hey, guys.
And the view of Saturn is terrific. Look at that! Look at that Saturn.
See the Cassini division looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just wonderful. I wonder if you can like maximize this window. Can you maximize this window and get rid of all the other controls?
Yeah, let me play around with it.
Yeah, you can just like maximize the Saturn window. But anyway, we'll keep moving. We got Roy Salisbury, who is actually on location at his observatory, as opposed to controlling it remotely. And so, but then we don't get to see your face. You have no camera where you are. So you are just a talking galaxy.
Yes, I'm a talking galaxy with a disembodied telescope.
But at least now, if the focus is a little off or it's not performing, you can just actually go over and give it a bang. So
yes, and that's why I'm here. I'm doing adjustments to the optics.
Perfect. My co-host Scott Lewis.
How's it going, everyone?
And Dr. Thad Zabo.
Good evening.
All right, so let's start with this beautiful view of the moon. So, and I think the thing that just pops right out with this view is that crazy, like the crater, and then that peak right in the middle, and you can see the shadow of that peak against that back crater wall.
If you were at that peak right there, you'd be watching a crescent Earth rise right there along the terminator. So you'd see the Earth in the opposite phase. The moon is waning gibbous right now. It just passed full.
So what's the terminator?
It's a shadow area right there where the sun's just starting to rise right along the edge.
The Terminator is the line between sunrise and sunset on the moon.
And
On one side you see the sun, on the other side you don't.
Come with me if you want to live.
Get in the space chopper.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's great. So how much of the month would you be able to see this, this peak illuminated in this way?
Roughly half. I mean, this crater, this is Langrenus. It shows up shortly after the waxing crescent. I mean, this becomes